Lynn and I were married for roughly 30 years. We had belonged to a really good church. That church disbanded. It was really a heartbreak for the both of us. We both served on the programming team, programmed the music. I was playing bass. She did some media stuff. It was really good for the both of us. But when that church folded, we really had a difficult time finding a church that suited our needs. And after that, it was really easy for sin to start creeping in our lives. God wasn't in our lives. So, once sin starts to creep in, it's really easy to let more and more sin in. So, with that being said, I had met somebody at work, and our marriage had been a little rocky, and after not having God in our lives anymore, we kind of pushed apart a little bit, and I wound up finding a relationship with somebody at work. That was a really rough point in my life. That affair lasted roughly a couple of years. In that couple of years, Lynn and I went to counseling, tried to do some things to fix what I had done, but it was just not going to happen. So we wound up getting a divorce. After that, I wound up getting remarried about 4 years later. But in all that time, Lynn was still, she was still someone that I really wanted to have a relationship with in some form. And I had prayed about it for 2 or 3 years that we would be able to reconnect. And really no news, nothing from her. That the divorce was ugly, and it was just what you would expect out of something like that. After that had happened and that time had passed, I went ahead and married the woman. I think I just started thinking about my kids, who I was pretty much alienated from, my grandkids that I'd never met, and the woman that I had just devastated. And I just got to feeling like, I was not in the right place, and that I really needed a chance to reconcile if I could. I didn't know whether she would be interested or not. So I started tithing to the church. I just kind of felt like I was being tugged by God to do that. So I started tithing one year, and that's something that I've never done in my life. On 4th of July weekend, my daughter had come down, and lo and behold, she just made a comment that Mom said if guys weren't married, she probably could be friends. And I think for me, that's kind of the spark that I needed to, get a little bit of hope, maybe an opportunity. And I think God was working through my daughter just to try to nudge me in that direction. So after that, I had started contacting Lynn a little bit more, and our conversations were not as hostile as they'd been. Time had passed. I had the affair for a couple of years, and we'd been divorced for roughly 5. So my conversations got better. I viewed that as a positive thing, but I was a little bit torn because I just felt like I really wanted to do what I felt like the godly thing to do was. And I had asked somebody at NorthRoad about it, and he told me that he wasn't really qualified, that I should seek Matt's counsel. So I did that. Matt and I had some good, meaningful conversations about it. And, his thought was God would have wanted me to be with my family. So with that, and, several conversations with him about that, I thought that was the way to go. And all through that process, I get a thing from Refreshing Hope Ministries in the morning. It's a daily devotional. And I had so much scripture that was just leading me to that. I didn't get anything that said that that's not what I should be doing, but plenty of scripture that said, hey, you need to try to reconcile with your family. So with that, I divorced the other woman. Lynn and I met for the first time, and things went really well. I mean, I felt it was pretty magical. It just felt like, we had never been apart. I mean, I didn't know how she would feel about me. I mean, I still felt like I loved her, but I don't think she was sure, and I don't think she was really sure God was working in my life either. But, I think it's been pretty obvious to both of us that, God's name has been all over this.
Well, through the 5 years that we were apart, I was blessed with 2 wonderful grandchildren, which kept me extremely busy. And it was hard at times seeing what he was missing. It tugged at my heart a lot that he wasn't seeing his grandkids grow up. And it kept me busy in that I didn't remarry or see anyone else, which kept my heart with Brian. Like he said, when our oldest daughter was visiting last summer, it just opened the door. It just cracked it a little bit. And, I realized that I had forgiven. It was a long process, but it had been long enough that the pain wasn't so fresh and that I could fathom a meeting with him. And like he said, when we met for the first time, it was chemistry. It was, where we should have always been. And it's good. It's cool to see how over the last 5 years God has just prepared my heart for forgiveness, and having 2 grandchildren to keep me busy, and just keeping my heart in my marriage, which really had ended, but he didn't leave room for a new relationship to replace it, which I kind of feel like was, part of his plan, that we would have an opportunity to be back together at some point. It's just really been quite the journey. Just every day there's something new. Like, that is God's hand working here. It's really been awesome.
Yeah, and through all this reconciliation, it's been pretty amazing. God's really been working in our lives, and it's been a great journey, and our journey is certainly not over. But I'm really anxious to see where it leads us.
I feel like our new journey is just beginning.
It is.